Hello again, this is Robert Goss, and we're going to have some more fun with Excel. Excel is one of my favorite programs, but there are some issues. So what we're going to discuss today is a few things. We're going to discuss date formats, we're going to discuss what's underlying them, how to do some subtraction, and then some regional settings that might affect what you're doing. Now, I'm on Windows 11, and I'm using Microsoft 365. Current general version is Excel 2021. Realize that if you are on an older version, you might have some inconsistencies. You might see some problems happening. There can be other issues. In like 2016 version, what I'm doing would not work consistently at all. So just be aware of that. Okay, so I'm going to write a quick spreadsheet here. Just going to have a few things in it. We're going to look at, first of all, at subtracting dates. So in A1, I'm going to type in the label, which is my birthday, and I'm going to type in day 1 in A2. Now, I'm not a young man, so I'm going to type in 73156. I'm set to US format, so it comes up fine. Day 1 is 1/1/1900. Now, when I go down here to B3, I can do a simple subtraction, and I can take my birthday and I can subtract day 1. I'm going to go ahead and close. And so that means that I was born on day 20,666. So, well, technically 20,667, but who's counting? Anyway, so the reason why this works is that when you see a date, all it is actually is formatting. So if I go up here for my birthday, I can change that to general format, and you can see that changes to day 20,667. Day 1, if I change that to general, you can see that it is the number 1. Now I'm going to use Control-Z to undo those changes, and we're going to do another subtraction. In this case, we're going to look at today, and I happen to be May 31st, 2024, and then I'm going to put my birthday here in second one. And as we saw, that was 7/31/56. I don't have to put the 19. And once again, I can write the formula, which is today's date minus my birthday. Close it there. Now, I do recommend clicking on it rather than typing it in for several reasons. Number one, you can see the color coding of what you clicked on, and it's actually more accurate. You'll save more time with the accuracy than you will by typing the individual ones. So now you can see that as of today, I've been live 24,776 days. My birthday is in a couple months, so I'll let you do the math there. Anyway, what this means is that I've successfully subtracted. So in order to, you can use this for doing timesheets, subtracting days, doing different calculations with days. But just understand, it's all formatting. All Excel understands is the numbers behind it. It will interpret what you have as days, but it doesn't actually use that for subtraction. It's actually the underlying number, and I hope that makes sense. So what happened a number of years ago, Microsoft initially, they forced the whole world to use US format. A lot of countries in the world objected to that. There was lawsuits involved, and Microsoft finally agreed that what they would do is they would have the default date format be according to the country region that the computer was in. I'm in Canada, and this issue is primarily between the US and Canada, but if anybody else around the world happens to use spreadsheets that came from the US, you might run into this, or if you're exchanging back and forth. So I can show you where that setting is, and I'm going to change this, and we're going to take a look and see what it does. Now, I'm going to go to settings. I'm on Windows 11, as I mentioned. If I click my start button, you can see that in my version of Windows 11, I've got settings down here. I've also got a shortcut for settings here. You might have to type up in the search to bring up settings on yours. But we're going to go into settings. And on the left, we're going to go down to time and language. And then we're going to go to language and region. Now, yours might be a little bit different, but you're going to go to the same spot. It's different on Windows 10. There are different versions of Windows 11, so I'd recommend updating if it's not like this on Windows 11. So over here you can see that my preferred language right now is United States. Secondary language is English Canada. The reason for that is specifically because of Excel. So all I have to do here is go over here. I can move it up, and Canada is now the default country for dates in Excel. Now, if you notice, these dates have now changed. So it's changed to Canadian format. Now I'm going to try typing in my date. And if you notice, the formula no longer works. I get a value error. The reason for this is I have two date formats in this calculation. So in order for it to work, I would have to have the year first in Canadian format. This is quite common, but if you build your sheet, you just want to make sure it's consistent. Don't mix Canadian and US date formats. The other thing I want to point out is that if I go back to here and I move US back, so it's now the primary one, you'll notice that the US format uses forward slashes, whereas the Canadian format uses dashes. In the Canadian format, you can use the forward slash, but in the US format, if you use the dash, you'll get inconsistent results because the US format does not use that as a primary thing. So it's really important to understand. So there's several things that we've learned in this. Number one, dates are numbers, so you can use them. And if you're doing time cards and that, if you use the time of day, then it'll go into a digital. I'm not going to show that in this recording, but you'll find it would be like 20,667 point whatever, so you'll get the decimal equivalent of the day. And that will assist you in figuring out how to set up your sheets. There's a lot of formulas in that for everything else. Don't forget about the date format. Don't mix date formats. If you're going to use your country region, use that. If you're going to use US, use the other. In more recent versions of Excel, it will, as you've seen, switch them back and forth when you change the country settings, but in older versions of Excel, it won't. Thank you for listening to the recording. I will be recording more, and you have a great day.